America, it did not come unexpectedly. The mother country, England, continually squeezed the lifeblood out of the colonists with taxes that enabled the crown to continue to expand and pay for its ever-growing empire. The voices of the colonists were raised in righteous indignation at being taxed without representation. Or were they? Not all voices cried, "Give me liberty" or "Give me death." Some still sang "God Save the King," while many others remained silent and undecided as they struggled to feed their families and live their lives in America the Beautiful. The Revolution pitted friends and family against one another. Ben Franklin's beloved illegitimate son, William Franklin, is one such case.
Ben Franklin had a close relationship with his son, William. They worked on Poor Richard's Almanac together. The elder Franklin even used his influence to get his illegitimate son, who can be loved, to be governor of New Jersey. Ben pleaded with his son to resign from his colonial position and to join the Patriots, but William refused. With these words to the New Jersey legislature, it was clear which road William had chosen. You have now pointed out to you, gentlemen, two roads. One leading to peace, happiness, and a restoration of public tranquility. The other road will conduct you to anarchy, misery, and all the horrors of civil war. William Franklin's choice led him to prison in Connecticut. While in prison, he planned and he schemed with other loyalists. This act placed him in solitary confinement, where no mercy was given to him, even when his wife lay dying. Eventually, he would be released as part of a prisoner exchange in 1778. After being released, he worked to lead guerrilla attacks on the Continental forces. At war's end, William Franklin fled to England. His father never forgave him. They remained estranged for the rest of their lives.
Another loyalist, John Malcolm of Boston, represented a much less sympathetic character than Franklin.
John Malcolm was a nasty and even cruel British customs officer. At one point, he joyfully seized a ship owned by the Sons of Liberty and demanded the crew submit to his authority. Others soon learned on his actions, and several local sailors disarmed him of his sword, cane, hat, and whip, and proceeded to cover his garments with hot tar and feathers, and marched him through the streets for an hour. Despite this public humiliation, this did not teach him a lesson. Trouble began brewing when Malcolm thumped a shoemaker on the head with a shoe for being cheeky. John would soon be taught a lesson he would remember, because the shoemaker, if he hit, was a member of the Sons of Liberty. Malcolm's home soon became surrounded by an angry mob. Not showing any remorse, Malcolm proclaimed from his upstairs window, "You say I was tarred and feathered, and that it was not done in a proper manner? Damn you, let me see the man that dare do it better." The crowd gladly yanked Malcolm from his home and slid him on a sled to King Street, where he was stripped of his clothes and made to stand in the freezing January cold. Hot tar was then poured on his naked body, and feathers properly applied. After a few months of healing, Malcolm left his wife and children in Boston and made his way to England, toting a box which held pieces of his skin that had peeled off when pulling the tar from his skin. Malcolm filed a petition to the government for the barbarous treatment he had received. He never returned to America.
All right, next is a poem written by loyalist Jonathan Bedell, but I'm reading it from the viewpoint of a woman who is very upset with what has happened to her family. Hear thy indictment, Washington. At large, attend and listen to the solemn charge. Thou hast supported an atrocious cause against thy king, thy country, and the laws. You've committed perjury, encouraged lies, forced conscience, broken the most sacred ties. Myriads of wives and daughters at thy hand, their slaughtered husbands and slaughtered sons, demand the pastures here no more, the lowing kind. The towns are desolate, all is thine. The frequent sacrilege that painted my sight, the blasphemies my pen abhors to write, innumerable crimes on thee must fall. For thou maintainest, thou defendest all. What could, when halfway up the hill to fame, endure thee to go back and link with shame? Was it ambition, vanity, or spite that prompted thee with Congress to unite? Or did all three within thy bosoms roll, thou heart of hero with a traitor's soul? Go, wretched author of this country's grief, patron of villainy, or villain's chief. Seek with thy cursed crew the central gloom, ere truth's avenging sword begin thy doom. Where sudden vengeance of celestial dart precipitate thee with augmented smart.
Just as the loyalists felt betrayed, so too do the Sons of Liberty. At the very core was the betrayal of man's God-given rights. As George Washington wrote to Brian Fairfax, quote, "Shall we supinely sit and see one province after another fall prey to despotism? We must assert our rights or submit to every imposition that can be heaped upon us." The Patriots believed it was time to break free from England. On September the 5th, 1774, 55 delegates to the First Continental Congress met in Philadelphia. Of this distinguished group, the Virginian delegates were among the most respected of all, and included George Washington, Richard Henry Lee, Peyton Randolph, Richard Bland, Edward Pendleton, and Patrick Henry. Delegates from all the colonies began the process of leading America down the path of independence. On July the 4th, 1776, the Declaration of Independence, largely authored by Thomas Jefferson, was adopted. America proclaimed itself a sovereign nation. The Revolutionary War would be fought from April 1775 until September 1783, when America became the United States of America.
I'm now going to sing a Revolutionary period song, Free America, which is ascribed to Joseph Warren. That seat of science, Athens, and Earth's proud mistress, Rome, where now are all their glories, we scarce can find a tomb. Then guard your rights, Americans, nor stoop to lawless sway. Oppose, 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 oppose for free America. Torn from a world of tyrants beneath the western sky, we formed a new dominion, a land of liberty. The world shown we're masters here, then hasten on the day. Huzzah, 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 huzzah for free America. Lift up your hands, ye heroes, and swear with proud disdain. The wretch that would ensnare you shall lay his snares in vain. Should in Europe empty all her force, we'll meet her in array, and fight and shout and fight and shout for free America. Some future day shall crown us the masters of the main. Our fleet shall speak in thunder to England, France, and Spain. And the nations over the ocean spread shall tremble and obey. The sons, the sons, the sons, the sons of brave America.
The first Constitution of the United States was the Articles of Confederation and Perpetual Union. It was adopted on November 15, 1777, and established the country's national government. It was in effect from March 1781 until 1789. The Articles allowed the states to operate independently and did not allow the government to enforce powers, nor regulate commerce, nor print money. The government could request money from the states, but often the states refused to pay. The inadequacy of the document placed our nation at risk of being destroyed. Alexander Hamilton, a Federalist, convinced the Congress to hold a grand convention to revise the Articles of Confederation, which brought about the creation of the Constitution we know today. Before our Constitution could be adopted, 9 of the 13 states had to ratify or approve the Constitution. Virginia was the 10th state to ratify the Constitution.
So, the Virginia House of Delegates met in present-day Richmond at the Richmond Academy, or what is now Monumental Church for the Ratification Convention. 170 delegates from all walks of life met there from June 2nd through June 27th, 1788. Edmund Pendleton was elected as the presiding officer. Think of it, 170 men in the month of June in Richmond, Virginia. Not only were temperatures hot, but the discussions were heated as well. Virginia decided, this would decide if they would follow the new government that had been established with the creation of the Constitution. The Virginia Ratifying Convention was open to the public, so the gallery would have been full. Demonstrators lined the street outside the building, and the press pushed out details of the proceedings to the public. Sound familiar? Yes. James Madison, who had helped write the Federalist Papers and would later become our 4th president, led the Federalists, which was the group that supported the new Constitution and a centralized government. The Anti-Federalists, who favored states' rights, were led by Patrick Henry, who is known for his speech in which he proclaimed, "Give me liberty or give me death." Another famous Virginian whose name you might recognize is John Marshall, who later became the 2nd Secretary of State and the 4th Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, and the namesake of Marshall University. The Federalists came from the Tidewater and the Northern Neck, the Shenandoah Valley, and Western counties, as well as Kentucky counties along the Ohio. The Anti-Federalists found strength in the central Piedmont, South Side, and Southwest counties. The delegates read through and debated each clause of the Constitution for almost a month. Anti-Federalist Patrick Henry was the primary debater for his group and spoke almost every single day of the convention. His fervor was so great that one of his speeches lasted 7 hours. You imagine that, sitting for 7 hours. I don't know. Yeah. On one occasion, the statesman spoke passionately about the liberty he felt would be lost by ratifying the Constitution. Is it necessary for your liberty that you should abandon these great rights by the adoption of this system? Is the relinquishment of the trial by jury and the great rights by the adoption of this system and the liberty of the press necessary for our liberty? Will the abandonment of your most sacred rights tend to the security of your liberty? Liberty, the greatest of all earthly blessing. Give us that precious jewel, and you may take everything else. Henry continued to express his concerns that the Constitution did not have a Bill of Rights that guaranteed our liberties. The Federalists, led by James Madison, was better organized and point by point tore Henry's argument apart by revealing his faulty logic, incorrect understanding of history, the misinterpretation of the language of the document. Madison would also attack the anti-federalist position on direct taxation. He eloquently worked to alleviate the delegates' concerns over the lingering British debt by promoting the idea that ratification of the Constitution would bring prosperity with proper commercial regulations and the mending of public credit. In the end, it would be 8 undecided delegates that both sides worked to capture their votes. On June 27, 1788, George Wythe made a motion to take a final vote on the ratification of the Constitution. The Constitution was ratified with a vote of 89 to 79. 10 votes. So Miss Linda here was like, boy, it's not unusual then for us to have close elections, is it? I'm like, no, it's not. Although the group recommending amendments although the group ratified the Constitution, the Federalists compromised with the Anti-Federalists, which I love this, by recommending amendments similar to those of the Virginia Bill of Rights. A Bill of Rights would be adopted and would be used, and that settled it for them. Now, if you look at the lanyards that you were given to you early, you will find the name, I said, of the delegate on the front. And if you flip the name tag over, you'll see the name of a second delegate. It should have the name of the county, where they're from and some information about them. They may have been a lawyer, a planter, a merchant, a doctor. And it will also tell you how they voted on that fateful day. After hearing about the lives of these men and about their concerns for our country, how do you think you would have voted? Would you have voted in favor of a strong central government? Or would you have been more concerned about the rights of your home state and the human rights of every citizen? The votes of 10 men determined the future of all Virginians, including you. So, I want you to think about that, and we're going to do a little, Greg, yeah, well, we can